Once again, Massive Media welcomes our viewers and listeners to this very program, where we will review Professor Banji's interview in comparison with Ohaneze Ndigbo, Apologetic Tendencies for 1966 military coup organized by some Nigerian military officers, of which some Igbos were the senior officers. There have been other military coups, of which northern Nigerian officers have been the organizers and the majority in the executions of these coups. Nothing has happened. None of those involved have been asked to apologize to Nigerians. Well, that is not the very topic right now. While Ohaneze Ndigbo Socio-Cultural Organization and its members are politically controlled to service the interests of other ethnic groups, while neglecting the interests of Igbo citizens, have been noted and also have been at the public domain, including social media. Unfortunately, there are differences between Igbos and other ethnic groups, especially on economic interests. According to research, Igbo society placed individualistic economic interests and premium to self-egoism values. Nevertheless, this is a healthy competition and acceptable norms of a society. It is a blessing recognized worldwide, and we thank God for such blessings. Igbos of southeastern Nigeria found themselves today in Nigeria submerged with other ethnic groups since 1914 by British colonial economic adventurers. After the constitutional ceremonial unionism of 1960 with indigenous but non-colonial administrative nation, the center could no longer hold. This is because Britain created an unhealthy political system that requires its intervention in form of indivisibility. Britain knew that before the amalgamation, that each ethnic group has its own agenda, despite the goddess of Nigeria, Britain, acting as arbitrator and the determinant factor of who rules Nigeria, including implantation of military coups, if its interests and agenda is in jeopardy and not protected. While the northern leaders, mainly dominated by the Fulanese, whose agenda was to Islamize northern and western part of Nigeria, and eventually eastern Nigeria, before colonization, and British colonialists knew about this before the intervention and amalgamation of Nigeria in 1914. It should be recalled that the Fulanese began this mission between 1803 before they later submitted to British superior power in 1906 and reluctantly accepted submerging and integration with southern part of Nigeria in 1914. It should be recalled that this agenda of Islamization of Nigeria has never changed, and the British government knew about it from documentation. Fulanis are always loyalists to the British royal government, and they recognize it and preserved it. For the Yorubas, they are the second British loyalists in Nigeria and allied themselves with the Fulanis of northern Nigeria, especially based on their religious inclination. However, they have an empire and culture they want to preserve and maintain, despite the entity called Nigeria. They don't want to be swallowed by the Fulanese hegemony either. They now realized and they recount their experiences during the war with the Fulanese that ended in 1808, for which they lost a lorry, and today a lorry is an emirate in the northern part of Nigeria. The question is, what is the agenda of Southeasterners? That is, Southeast and the South-South as it is known today. Britain saw them as a home of economic and business competitors. they are considered as non-loyalists and trade competitors. Igbo agenda in Nigeria today is to be president, even if it is one term, that is 4 years. However, they are in the hands of Britain and the Fulanese, now included are the Yorubas. Britain always recount the trade competition responsible for the establishment of arbitration court in Niger Coast, that is in Opobo and the Calabar, between 1850 to 1856. They recount also the trade competition responsible for the destruction of Benin Kingdom in 1897. We use this opportunity to ask our viewers to please subscribe to this channel, share and like it, and leave your comment as we continue. It was this trade competition also that led to the burning down of Arochukwu Temple in 1902. Please subscribe and share this video. Thank you and God bless you. Britain has never forgotten the competition and the taxation that led to riot in Brass in 1887. Neither have they forgotten the competition that led to the removal of Calabar Seaport to Lagos in 1907. As if that is not the end, the British government never forgot the colonial encounter that led to massacre of the indigenous Calabar people, Efik, in 1767. Finally, they never forgotten the Nigerian war against Biafra that lasted between 1967 to 1970. All these are the British calculations that made them to be afraid of the entire southern region of Nigeria. These made the Igbos and their brothers in the southeastern region of Nigeria to be enemies of Britain. No part of eastern region that never had encounter with the British people that either led to the death of British people or to the removal of their trade and economic interests. This made you enemy of Britain, which they documented, brought to amalgamated Nigeria constitutional polity, which they are guiding from generation to generation, the date. This is translational and practical history. What happens today? Every day, Nigerians will say Britain is doing this or doing that. Are they the generations doing this today? Are those who colonized Nigeria still ruling them today? Those men are dead, but the documented evidence and the translational work of what they put down for their government is what is being used today by the present British government that comes year in, year out. That is the practical history. So, in parentheses, you find out that the generations acting on behalf of British government today are not the generations that colonized Nigeria. What they are doing is regeneration of history to do the practical work their forefathers left for them on the historical documents. Then, what are the problems of the Igbos and their brothers in the southeastern region? Many Igbos do not read and apply integrated and translational history in their evaluation of political events in Nigeria and other developing countries or developed countries, how they use history to perfect the future of their nations. They are only interested in what will bring money, social life, and egoism, but not expansion of knowledge in competitive brain regeneration world. In Nigeria today, Igbos are busy pursuing economic control, while Hausa, Fulanese, and Yorubas are pursuing political and leadership control. It is worthy to inform the Igbos and others that he who controls the government controls the man with economic power. The practical evidence of this is houses and properties and businesses of the Igbos being destroyed in the name of government in Lagos State and Abuja and other parts of the nation. That is the political control. Despite the economic power, they control you and tell you where to stand. That is why it is imperative to highlight this to the Igbos. believe much on their economic power. Again, it is good to inform the Igbos that the leadership rule of Nigeria, dominated by Fulani oligarchy, is supported by Britain. And this leadership has never gone out of terroristic system of leadership since the inauguration of Nigerian government in 1960. They are not different from the leadership of Taliban in Afghanistan. Today, it is well-established fact that Nigeria is divided into two in terms of laws and judicial system. In the north, they operate Islamic laws and Islamic courts, with Islamic police in control, like Saudi Arabia. Today, Nigerians and the world have known that the establishment of Boko Haram, ISWAP, Fulani bandits, and Fulani kidnappers are part of Nigerian system endowed by the government of Muhammadu Buhari. Massacre of Christians, extermination of indigenous peoples with allegations that Nigerian security agents are complicit had been weighed by the people with foresight and want to opt out of the system, like Professor Banji of Yoruba self-determination leader. No one will say that Banji is a young boy or a puppy or a man without vision or illiterate or not educated. He is a historian. Professor Banji was born in 1935, which means he is old enough to know the history of Nigeria. But luckily, he studied history. He taught history at the history department of what is called today Obafemi Awolowo University in Ile-Ife. He also was a director of Institute of African Studies from 1974 to 1977. He also taught African history in universities in the United States, including University of South Florida in Tampa, Montgomery County Community College in Pennsylvania, and Eastern University, Pennsylvania. The leader of this Yoruba Nation self-determination leader, Professor Akintoye, has written books and chapters in many joint books and several articles in scholarly journals. One would ask, what is scholarly journal? It's an academic journal or scholarly journal that is periodically published, in which scholarship relating to particular academic discipline is published. In Nigeria, Professor Banji, as he is popularly called, like Raf Uwazirike of Mossab, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu of IPOB, and presently Mazi Simon Ekpa of IPOB, are all facing the same problems. Nelson Mandela of South Africa faced under Pieter Botha of apartheid regime in South Africa. The same applied to Mr. Robert Mugabe of Southern Rhodesia in present-day Zimbabwe. In Nigeria today, Professor Banji, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, and Mazi Simon Ekpa are facing similar governments like in former South Africa and Southern Rhodesian government in Nigeria today, in the names of Muhammadu Buhari and President Ahmed Tinubu. They are the current apartheid leaders in Nigeria, or otherwise, the full-tide government in Nigeria. Therefore, Nigerians are worried, but some are locked up on what to do to change the system, while others want to usher in a new course of leadership through restructuring. Others want regionalism back to Nigeria, while others want entire new nations out of Nigeria, that Nigeria be dismantled based on its original form before they were amalgamated. For the Igbos, the revival or the restoration of Biafran government that was established between 1967 to 1970 is being opposed out of ignorance and fear. They believed that those who are pushing the restoration are not people with big economic power, which is what they respect. But on the other hand, the presence of Professor Banji in Western region asking for the self-determination of the Yoruba nation is seen differently because he is not Igbo man and he is a professor. While the Igbos, on the other hand, under the auspices of Ohaneze Ndigbo, are busy begging and asking the Fulanis to reinstate them into Nigerian leadership, which is considered abomination in the sight of the youths. We will listen to the interview of Banji and his advice on restructuring and the nationhood. This will be a clue to the Igbos, those governors, Igbo politicians that are sending or using the Ohaneze Ndigbo to acquire political positions should now take these very decoding measures and stop abusing and degrading the Igbos in the name of politics. To decode this, Fulani oligarchies backed by British or seasonal governments from permanent control of other ethnic tribes in Nigeria. Let us listen to Professor Banji's solution to such controls, in addition to what the Biafran restoration agitators have earlier indicated. Let us listen to him.
We know our status in the world. We know our status in the black world. We do not want to destroy the peace of Nigeria, and we do not want to bring difficulty into the lives of any other group in Nigeria. But we want to get out of Nigeria. That's it.
Well, Prof, you were a strong member.
And you're not talking about that. You are asking me questions. You are asking me questions as if what Onitiri did has the support of the majority of Yoruba people who want self-determination. It is not true.
Well, Prof,
she has a small minority of a section that is ready to do illegalities. A year ago, they went and attacked a radio station in Ibadan, and so on. Now this year, they are attacking the entire government of Ibadan, and so on. No, but we have never sent anybody to go and do that, and we do not support it or encourage it. Prof, and we think it is criminal.
Prof,
and so if they get punished for their criminality, we have no objection to that.
Prof, you are a strong member.
But you cannot, because of them, generalize opposition to self-determination. You cannot.
Well, Prof, you are a strong member of the Unity Party of Nigeria, also a very strong member of Afenifere. Afenifere is talking about restructuring. You are now talking about self-determination. What is the difference, in these two ideological positions?
Yes, our
Wie schaffe ich es, einen Job als Softwareentwickler zu bekommen? Dafür musst du...
are doing the right thing. Talking about restructuring so that we can go back and live our own life the way we used to live it prosperously. They're doing the right thing. There is nothing wrong with that. But we, another group of people, larger in number than they, are now saying, no, self-determination is the answer, not restructuring. Why? Because when you restructure, you are still in Nigeria. The people who are coming and disrupting your life and destroying your farms and killing your women and raping your mothers and daughters and so on are still Nigerians. They still have a right to come to Nigeria. The only final solution to that is to separate so that you have a separate Yoruba country where we can make our own laws and so on, to which we admit only people we want to admit. So nobody can claim that they have a right to come to our land. They don't have such a... But as long as we are in Nigeria, no matter what restructuring is done, they still have the right to come to our land and do the things that we're doing. Nobody is talking about the fact that most Yoruba farmers have been driven from their farms. I am not hearing that. I'm hearing only about government. I'm not hearing about people. You are not talking about the fact that most Yoruba farmers have been driven from their farms and that the Yoruba nation is in danger of famine upon famine upon famine for years and years to come. You are not talking of the fact that the Fulani declared war on Nigeria on the 24th of January and 26th of January and said that Tinubu is not our president. We are going to Aso Rock. We will take over the seat of government there, and we will use this place to organize the conquest of the rest of Nigeria. You're not talking about that. You are not talking of people who said, no Fulani man must be arrested for the bomb in Ibadan. If you do, you will have bombs in every town in Yoruba, in Nigeria. Nobody's talking about that. Nobody's talking about the sheer insult of living in a country where some people are treating the government like that. You are talking about Onitiri and so on. Why do our...
Well, Prof, let me ask you this. Self-determination that you recommend.
You are entitled to your opinion. You are entitled to your opinion, but what I'm saying is that your opinion rigorously avoids the truth.
Thank you very much. We have heard from the professor and his advice and what he has just told the interviewer, Dr. Bati, who presents the interest of government rather than the interest of the people. This is an advice to all the Igbo Ohaneze, the Ohaneze Ndibo that is portraying the Hausa Fulanis as the leaders of Nigeria and that they are the beggars. They are visitors in Nigeria. They have to go to the Fulanis to beg them to allow them to have a say in government. This is not applicable to what Professor Banji is advising. Separation where there is no entity. Restructuring does not give the opportunity you may think. Restructuring allows the same system to continue, but everyone going separately will make the nation to be respected. Before you come in, you make application. If you are accepted, you come in. You don't have to go and kill anybody at any time. You don't have to go to the bush to occupy and kill innocent people, indigenous people, in pretext that you are in one Nigeria. This is exactly what he's saying, and I hope the Ohaneze, those who are trading from east to Abuja to beg, to ask, as if they are houseboys begging their masters to give them what to eat, should take clue from what Professor Banji has said and be a man and be a leader of your own nation. It is because of the attitude of the Ohanezes that the youths are taking over the leadership and discrediting the elders, because the elders have sold their souls for money and the youths are not interested. They want to be respected, they want to develop, they want to rule themselves, produce their own laws, and provide for the future of their generation, which the Ohaneze is not interested. That is all. Thank you very much for listening. Ask our viewers to subscribe to this channel, share, and also leave their comments. Their comments helps to guide these very programs. Thank you very much for listening, and God bless you all. Bye.